I fell into lust, and I feel ashamed. I feel shameful telling this story because I pride myself almost so high. I view myself so highly that I don't give into lust, that I'm a man of God, that I'm this leader for young men. But, like 2 days ago, I fell back into lust, and I just want to tell the story because I think its story is a warning of the, be careful of the devil in the red dress. It really is. I think it's Proverbs 3:6. For the lips of the immoral woman drip with honey. They're smoother than oil, but in the end, she's as bitter as poison, as sharp as a double-edged sword. In this story, it really emphasizes that, really shows that. So 2 days ago, I was in Miami with my other friend, and I had like a goal, I had like a little milestone. So for the last day there, we got this high rise in Miami, right? It was cool. We were driving over there at like 12 a.m. We were just gonna chill, enjoy the high rise. I was probably gonna record a video on the high rise. And then, when we got there, these two girls, they texted us or something. They're like, "Oh, can we come?" And I was like, "Yo, tell my one friend, no, they shouldn't come. Like, it's not worth it. Let's just chill, enjoy the time here." And he was like, "Oh, it'd be fun, whatever." And then, we called them, and they were saying the weirdest, like, freakiest, out-of-pocket stuff. And I was like, this is honestly disgusting. But, of course, you have the voice in the back of your head, And we were like, we came to the conclusion after, you have the internal fight. We were both like, "Oh, it's not a good idea." But then it was like, "Oh, we'll just, we'll meet them outside and we'll just talk to them." Right? And they won't come up or anything like that. You start negotiating with yourself, and that's when the downfall really starts. So we started that self-negotiation. Because the reason that the negotiation happened is because, the photos, we saw like photos of these girls, and they were genuinely like some of the most like beautiful girls I've ever seen, like 9 out of 10. So, you have that voice in your head telling you, "Oh, well, no, if you meet them just like outside, you talk to them, nothing bad can happen." So, eventually that did, and they're, "Oh, we have to use the restroom." So they came up, and, eventually they came up to the place, right, where we were staying. And, one thing I do is when I'm in an uncomfortable position, I almost like start trolling, right? I start trolling maybe as a way to cope. I try to understand my own psychology, but I think it's almost as a way to cope. So we start trolling them a bit because we're like, "Well, what do? We don't want to like do anything." They were saying the most out-of-pocket things. The freakiest things you can ever imagine. Just imagine them saying these things, all right? It was genuinely disgusting. But I start trolling because I don't want to do anything lustful. But in the back of my head, and it's extremely shameful for me to say this, in the back of my head, I was like, "You know what? Maybe I would give into lust." In the back of my head, I thought to myself, it's so shameful for me to say this, but I was like, "You know what? I wouldn't do. I would never have sex. I'm waiting till marriage 100% for sex." But I was like, maybe I'll let this girl give me head. It sounds so shameful for me to say this. In my back of my head, I was like, maybe I'll allow that. I didn't allow that. Nothing happened. We started trolling because me and my other friend, that's kind of what we do. When we get in awkward positions, we start trolling. So we start trolling them. Eventually they leave. We tell them leave. They leave. All that. Nothing happened, right? Nothing lustful happened. But it was almost the intent, right? In the back of my head, I thought to myself, if the opportunity came, I would have taken it. And I would have lusted because it's so easy, right? It's so easy to say, "Oh, I would never give into lust." Oh, it's easy not to give into lust. But when the opportunity comes, it's really like, who are you really? When the opportunity comes to where you're in a position where you can give into lust, where you can give into the degeneracy of the world, what do, right? It's so easy to say, "Oh, I'm not going to give into lust." But then you have that, girl who's genuinely beautiful, whispering in your ear the things like the lips of the immoral woman are sweet as honey. And it sounds so good to your mind to where you start making exceptions. So, it genuinely feels shameful. It genuinely feels bad. It feels horrible, because it's a real warning, man. When you start, I guess, leveling up your life, you have more opportunities, and more opportunities come your way. More things like woman, right? And that's what really shows your true colors, And the fact that in the back of my head, I almost broke, and I was like, "You know what? If the opportunity comes, I'll give into lust." It just makes me feel ashamed. It makes me feel guilty. And sometimes, I struggle with imposter syndrome, right? I'm like, I try to be this guy online who's helping young men improve their lives, but, when the opportunities come to me, who am I really? Am I really who I say I am? And it takes a lot of thought, it takes a lot of thought. But in the end, at least, no true lust occurred. But what starts with lust starts with the thought. So what I really want you guys to take from this story is you have to be careful, the positions you put yourself in, right? You have to be so careful of the positions you put yourself in, right? It happens with everything, right? Let's say you want to go goon. You have that exception in your head. Oh, I'm going to do it, but maybe without corn. Or I'm going to do it, and this is the last time I'm going to do it. Or you find some sort of exception, right? Some sort of way to cope of why you're doing it. And the second you start coping is the second you're going to do it. So you can't get to that stage. So you really have to be careful of where your mind wanders. You really have to, the second the thought comes, you have to let it go. You have to let it go. You have to not fight it, but you have to not embrace it, if that makes sense. When the second the lustful thought comes, but for me, maybe I'll let this girl, give me head. Maybe because it's not that bad, right? So maybe I will. You have to just let the thought move on. The second you start thinking of that thought, the second you get an urge to go goon watch corn, and you start thinking of dwelling on that thought, that's when your mind starts racing. That's when you start finding ways to cope. Exceptions of, I'm going to do it. So, an actionable step you guys can take is next time you get a thought to give into lust, instantly pray. What else can you do? Instantly just pray. Pray to God. Start talking to God. Take some deep breaths. Use breath work. Calm your mind. Don't let your mind start racing, going down that rabbit hole. Because it's true, man. I haven't been in that position where a genuinely, a 9 out of 10, beautiful girl was saying these, freaky things in my ear. I've never been in that position. So to be in that position, that's what showed my true colors. And maybe my true colors are, maybe I'll have an exception, I'll give into lust. And it hurts, it's shameful. I'm ashamed of it, but all I can do is be a better man. All I can do is learn from it. All I can do is learn from it and grow from it. I think the problem is so many people, they fall, right? They fall into lust and they feel so much shame. They feel so much guilt. They feel so much self-hatred of, why did I do this? To the point where they don't learn anything from it and they're just more likely to do it again. So if you do fall into lust, you have to instantly love yourself. You have to forgive yourself. You have to say it's okay, and you have to think to yourself, okay, what can I do to avoid this? And for me, it's, not putting myself in those positions. It's having better self-control. It's being more focused on my purpose and not letting distractions get me. Especially when you're in cities like that, Miami, man, it's hard. It's a hard place to put yourself in. So, be honest with yourself. Who are you, right? And if you ever fall into sin, if you ever fall into lust, degeneracy, don't hate yourself for it. Don't beat yourself up for it. Because if you beat yourself up for it, if you hate yourself for it, you're more likely to fall into the guilt cycle. And you're more likely to do it again. Instead, love yourself. Say, I love you, I love you, I love you. Look yourself in the mirror. I love you, I love you, I love you. I forgive you. Ask God for forgiveness, and you'll feel God's love, man. But I promise, you're going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And just because you struggle, just because you fall once, doesn't mean the whole journey was for nothing. Just because, maybe one day out of 365 you struggle with lust, doesn't mean the other 364 days were useless. So look at the bigger picture. Don't get stuck, hyper-fixated on one day. You'll be okay. Choose love over lust. I love you.